Hey, um, I I figured I'd talk about a kind of a subject that's relevant to me, a subject that's relevant to most of the people that live in this world, and most of the people that think one way about it and think another way about it, like me. Um, First off, I want to start by saying I don't think I'm better than anybody else because I think this way. I don't think that my way is the right way. I don't think that that my way of thinking is the only way anyone should think ever. It's a very elitist and a very, self, a very self-assured way of thinking. I mean, it's like there's multiple ways to live, and that goes along with what I'm about to talk about. The subject I'm going to talk about is, the existence of good and evil. Uh, I guess I would, be like I guess my thoughts would be, defined as being a moral nihilist. You know, I don't necessarily believe that good and evil exist, though I do believe that people have different opinions on what is right and what is wrong. I think that there are just there isn't just one right, and there's not just one wrong or evil or bad, good or bad. There's not just one of those that exist. By the way, I'm not very good with words. I'm kind of you'll see me like stumbling a lot. I just I've this has been on my mind for a long time, and I really just haven't really been able to talk to anybody about it without receiving negative feedback. And I was wondering if I could find somebody who shares my way of thinking. It's I was a Christian for I didn't really declare my faith until I was about ninth grade, about the end of it, about the end when I was a freshman in high school, near the end of my freshman year. And then I got into 10th grade. I attended a church called Westridge, and at Westridge there was a there was a lot of cliques. There was a lot of just a few group of friends that people would they would stick with throughout the entire session or throughout the entire lesson, Bible study, even at youth groups. It was just full of cliques. There wasn't one person. There wasn't just one big congregation. It was a bunch of them. It was just a bunch of cliques, just a group of friends who didn't really want anyone else involved. And other than other than the youth leader and the youth leader's son, which was also I guess a co-youth leader, I guess that's what he said. They accepted everybody. But the thing is, when I attended, I was told that basically the entire way I was living is wrong. Everything I thought about was wrong, and that my life meant nothing, and I should give everything of it to God, every bit of my life to God. And for a while, I started, thinking that way. I even, like raised my hand at church, like raised my hand during the, prayer sessions, and whenever they would sing, worship songs. But as you can tell, I'm a fan of heavy metal. I love heavy metal. It was kind of it was there for me during that awkward phase in high school that I went through. Most people go through. It was there for me when I didn't have any friends. Not trying to sound like an emo kid or someone who's like looking for attention or any of that. I'm just saying it helped. It was my vice. It helped me get through so many things, and that's just kind of what I stuck by. And when I attended church, they were telling me that the music I was listening to was sacrilegious and evil and wrong, and I would go to like a couple of retreats and like a volunteer. I'd go to like a volunteer session. Like I'd go. Like this one time I went to this thing called River of Life, Fear for Life was just, it's kind of confusing. I look back on it now and I kind of question it. You had to pay money to do charity work. I'm guessing it would pay for like the meals and your room and board and all that stuff. But I mean, we like there were two groups. There was a girls group and a boys group who all slept. Like they slept separately, obviously, and we would get up and we would go into the auxiliary gym, and then there was just a big breakfast, and then we go out and work on whatever project we were assigned to. I was assigned to building a porch for a disabled man's house. I worked on this porch, and I learned I didn't even know how to hammer a nail, and they showed me how. And after it was done, we'd go back and we'd have like this worship, and then we'd at the end of it, looking back on it, I can kind of understand why they would want to do this now. But back, like, I thought I understood it then, but I think I understand it better now. A bunch of people volunteered to make admit to things that they had done wrong. Like they, admitted to, addiction, cigarettes, pornography, masturbation, just all sorts of sin. And they had to write it on a piece of cardboard, a cardboard sign, and they had to present it in front of the entire congregation. They would line up and they would go into they would line up and then they would each go to the altar and raise their sign and then walk away. Some of them cried, some of them smiled, some of them frowned, some of them giggled, some of them were, expressionless and they didn't say anything. Or you didn't say anything. You let the sign speak for itself, but you couldn't see any expression on their face. And at the end of that, a lot of people went up to the altar and prayed and started crying and all sorts of stuff. And I was one of those people. I went up to the altar and I put my head down and I, accepted Christ into my life and all that good stuff. And after that, after it was over, like the next day, I went home and, I was really big in the Creator at the time, and I put on Coma of Souls, and I liked a lot of the stuff on there, and I think that's where I started beginning, my separation from, the church. I started, realizing I thought that it was just, they were trying to brainwash me and trying to, convert me and, take control of my life. And the way I looked at it is, I didn't really come out as an atheist until my senior year. And my junior year, I didn't really believe in God, but I was kind of in a limbo, I guess you would say. I was in kind of a limbo about it, and I didn't deny being it, but I also didn't accept being a Christian. So I, just kind of said I was or wasn't, depending on whatever I was thinking at the time. And eventually, in my senior year in high school, I was an atheist. I, would talk to other people. But I was really, I was really more or less aggressive about it. I was really, I became really intolerant, and I became really, hateful. And I, would talk to people about, what I thought, and they would, whenever I would talk to a Christian about it, they'd, tell me what was wrong with me and why I thought this way and why I shouldn't be thinking this way, and then I'm just being intolerant and being a dick, and I don't really know what I'm talking about. And I did a lot of research, and I'm not here to talk. I mean, I'm not trying to talk about my beliefs or anything, right? I mean, my religious beliefs right now. I'm trying to give you a little bit of background on what I think, and why I think this way. And I guess I just started becoming less tolerant, and I would get in fights. I wouldn't I get in arguments with people about it, and they would they would, you know, get a whole bunch of Christians in the class, and they would all, you know, confront me, and we would all have like this debate. Like I had this one guy who was reading a book called Fruit of the Atheist, Fruit for the Atheist, and I had another guy who was Catholic come up beside him and start talking to me about it. And I just told them, you know, blah, 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 this, that, the other, Roman peace theory, blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, I wasn't born yesterday, and I don't know, it didn't really end well, but, you know, it was whatever. I eventually just kind of dealt with it.